This video is brought to you by Just Cause 4. Strap into your wingsuit, equip your fully customizable grappling hook, and get ready to bring the thunder on December 4th. Hey guys, welcome to The Realists. I am Rebecca, and today we are tearing apart Thrillist's top 33 action movies of all time list in honor of Watch Mojo's Action Week. Exciting. So with me I have Tim, who's in a taxi driver t-shirt, and I have Chris, who's in a Pug with a Santa hat t-shirt.
Yeah, it's an homage to Die Hard, Santa hat, and Bruce Willis is vaguely pug-like.
Sure, let's go with that. All right, let's jump right into number 10, which is 1987's Predator. Now, this is the first of, I think, 3 Schwarzenegger movies on this list.
I think Predator's become so iconic that maybe we're a bit immune to how cool he is. But think back to the first time you saw this. He can cloak himself. He's got that infrared dot weapon.
The fact that it's this super out there kind of ridiculous B-movie premise, but they treat it in such a serious way. So it's kind of this interesting contrast between the ridiculousness and the kind of seriousness of the cinematic elements, I'd say, in terms of how it's shot.
Now for number 9, we're moving on to the only movie on this list that is not from the 80s and 90s, 5 Deadly Venoms. Alrighty, let's go with you.
If we're going to include a martial arts or kung fu movie, no matter how kind of crazy and fun this movie is, I think maybe it's smarter to go with something that has kind of a bigger cultural impact, something like Enter the Dragon, or Police Story.
Now hold on, because Shaw Brothers did have a cultural impact.
Yes, that's true.
You can't say they didn't have an impact. But I take your point. Bruce Lee is still much more iconic and more well-known than the Shaw Brothers movies in general.
Yeah, and I guess they had an impact in terms of their whole caliber of movies. But if we're just talking about a standalone movie by itself, I feel like you could probably
This feels like the film school pick.
Yes,
kind of,
definitely.
And I'm okay with having an out of left field, only the connoisseurs know sort of pick on a list. But to me, it only rarely rises above kitsch, that I don't feel emotion from the movie.
All right, now we're going with Thrillist's number 8, which was our number 3, The Matrix. Duh. Why duh?
Why duh? Because it was just so cool. There was nothing else like it when it came out. I remember seeing it in theater and wanting to immediately see it again.
I think it starts with a kind of revolutionary premise, and it's used to sort of justify the action, just the fact that everything takes place in a simulation. It kind of makes everything believable. You're able to make the sort of logical step that this could actually potentially happen.
It's a testament to the Wachowskis that the action is as good as the weirdness of the story. While there are great practical effects, there are also great CGI effects in this movie.
Which still sort of hold up, I'd say.
Exactly, which is no mean feat. Terminator 2, Judgment Day is Thrillist number 7. So, why was it our number 1?
It has to do a lot with its ability to sort of straddle the line between this super serious kind of heavy themes like nuclear warfare and that. But it also has
robot uprisings. Let's not forget the robots.
But also has these kind of comedic tones that I think are really vital to action movies in general.
This is more Schwarzenegger than Schwarzenegger's ever been. He created this character. If you read about how he met with James Cameron, and originally he was looking at Schwarzenegger to play Kyle Reese, the soldier in Terminator. Yeah, neither of them did. Neither of them did, but Schwarzenegger saw himself as the Terminator, and so did Cameron.
All right, we're moving on to Thrillist's number 6, which was The Road Warrior, or as we always call it, Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. And on Watch Mojo's list, we actually had Fury Road, so I think we're gonna have a bit of a debate. I don't like any of these movies because I don't like movies that take place in deserts, or conversely, movies that have too much water, so I don't like Waterworld. I just need trees.
Finding Nemo? You don't like Finding Nemo? Little Mermaid? I think it really comes down to, do you include Fury Road or The Road Warrior? You wouldn't do either because you don't like deserts for some reason. Tim, what would you have put?
I would be tempted to replace this with Fury Road, honestly, but I suppose you could argue that Fury Road wouldn't have existed without the creation of Mad Max 2.
I think a lot of movies would. I mean, this movie kind of pioneered the post-apocalyptic landscape, which is probably what I'm not that into, but anyway.
I think that Road Warrior has certain advantages over Fury Road. I think the character design in Road Warrior much more interesting.
Both Fury Road and this movie have kind of very stripped down, bare bones plots.
And dialogue.
Exactly, and they're kind of, in a way, just a vehicle for action, no pun intended.
Ooh, just a vehicle.
All right, we're on to the third and final Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from this list, which is number 5 on their list, Commando. So, is this one of the ones that should have made the list for Schwarzenegger or not?
I definitely appreciate this movie and understand where it's coming from in terms of being completely over the top, jam-packed with kind of cheesiness and one-liners, and it kind of
Let's
just
let off
stops
some
there.
steam.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, there's a question though. Does it deserve a place on the list because it has like probably the highest kill count of any of these movies? It has more of those cheesy one-liners. I mean, it is the dumbest, biggest, killiest action movie from the 80s. So there's that.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse?
I love Roadhouse. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm not arguing against Roadhouse, but come on. Arnold Schwarzenegger kills guys with saw blades. Like he throws a
Patrick
table saw
Swayze
blade.
rips out a guy's throat with his bare hand.
Yeah, that's
Pain
badass.
don't hurt.
That's badass.
That's a one-liner.
That's badass, but throwing a saw blade, that's ridiculous. Anyone who's ever operated a table saw will tell you that a saw blade is just gonna hurt you, the person throwing it, more than it's gonna hurt whoever it hits. Unless you can throw it with enough torque to cut through a skull, which you can't. You can't.
At number 4, Thrillist has one that we had as an honorable mention on our list, and I actually think they might be righter than we were. Speed. What a fabulous movie. I think it's your turn.
I like Speed because it seems like one of these movies that was sold on a single log line. You know, like there's a bomb on the bus.
Die Hard on a Bus.
If you go under 50, it'll blow up. Yeah, Die Hard on a Bus. There you go. That's like 4 words and you get it.
It's kind of set up very fast. It's like we know it's gonna we know like how the action's gonna develop over this single kind of scene, and it just makes for like a really intense kind of thing.
You say single scene, but that's the thing about Speed. It's not a single
Yeah.
scene. Okay, so first there's the elevator, and the elevator scene is intense, and then there's the bus chase, and then there's the subway
The
thing.
subway. Oh
my
And
God,
I'm
I
always
forgot
just
about
like,
the subway
oh crap, there's a whole other thing now.
And
Yeah.
he has a detonator the entire time.
Yes.
And he doesn't blow it up.
I know, and so for some reason he talks on the phone like this. I
Yes,
don't know.
I swear that's the one thing I remember from the movie the most is Dennis Hopper talking
so
on the
weird.
phone like this.
Thrillist's number 3 is Hard Boiled.
I think it has a lot of kind of influence, especially if you look at the kind of gunfights and just how everything's choreographed in movies like John Wick. A lot of action movies these days kind of rely on very fast editing and kind of like shaky cameras. But with this movie, the focus is kind of on the choreography, and they have really long, like 3-minute takes.
You have guys on dirt bikes with Uzis going through a warehouse, shooting things up. Like, that's tight choreography. That's like a big machine in a small space. And then Chow Yun-fat comes like swinging from the skylight like Tarzan, blowing things up. Like, props to Thrillist for including this on their list and representing John Woo on the list. We didn't do that.
Really, not Face Off?
Yeah, well, I
I'm
mean,
kidding. I do love that movie though, but. So number 2 on Thrillist's list was also number 2 on Watch Mojo's list. I'm surprised it wasn't number 1, but whatever. Die Hard, obviously. And as discussed, Die Hard on a whatever, or in a, was its own genre. So Die Hard is a quintessential action movie as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think when I think of action movies personally, I think kind of the first images that come to my head are Bruce Willis running through explosions and that kind of thing. So I think that's kind of a testament to putting it so high on both our lists.
I think my favorite action movies have a really strong sense of time and place. And Die Hard, like you said, I think that's part of the mold that it cut. You know, you see it in Predator to some extent. You see it certainly in Speed. You don't see it in Commando, just saying. But in Die Hard, you know that it's all in Nakatomi Plaza. So.
I think Die Hard really sets up all the tropes that we know really well for action movies, like the articulate and cunning villain, the everyman hero, great one-liners, that one jerk that you're like, ugh, I don't even care if he dies. We're on to number 1 on Thrillist's list, which is a movie we love more than anybody, and it's not on our list. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, it is important to note that Thrillist, when ranking this list, omitted movies with action and went for action movies. I would argue that this is more of an adventure movie than an action movie, and that is why it was not on our list. So I think this doesn't really have a place on the list. How about you?
Yeah, I think I would kind of agree with that. Although it is very tempting to put on the list just because I know we all love it, and just the kind of huge scale of the movie and the fact that it was filmed in so many different countries.
Is this the Harrison Ford movie you would put on?
I don't know that Harrison Ford is one of the great action heroes, to be honest. I mean,
Chris with the hot take!
he's done amazing characters. I mean, who gets to do Indiana Jones and Han Solo in one career? If you're going to include Indiana Jones or any Indiana Jones movie on a list of action movies, you also have to include Star Wars, in my opinion, because it's the same sort of thing. Like, there's action sequences.
Star Wars isn't even on their top 33.
Right? So I
It was
think,
our number 5.
I know, and I think, to be honest, we're both inconsistent, right? Because we included Star Wars, but I don't know that we included Indiana Jones. And
did not.
to me, that's like, if you do one, you got to do the other. So
Interesting.
shame on them and shame on us as well.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on The Realists. I'm Rebecca. Thank you, Tim and Chris. I am doing the reverse, but thank you guys for joining me. I want you guys to check out the rest of Action Week and tell us in the comments what your top 10 action movies would be, and also top 10 Bruce Willis moments, top 10 one-liners, top 10 explosions. I don't even care. Just tell us some stuff. See you next time. This video is brought to you by Just Cause 4. Strap into your wingsuit, equip your fully customizable grappling hook, and get ready to bring the thunder on December 4th.